Why, hello there. My name is Angelica. It is a pleasure to meet you. Now, you are my Virgo appointment, correct? Excellent. We can be very straightforward here. We're going to be very honest and truthful. We're going to be very exact and informative, very thorough, if I haven't already used that word. Sometimes my thoughts escape me. So, before we begin, I'm going to confirm with you if it is okay that we record this examination for our clerical purposes. Yes, just for our training purposes to make sure that someone else can do the job as well. Perfect, perfect. Now I'm going to need you to wear these gloves, so outstretch your fingers for me, outstretch your hands for me. It's simply so that way whatever energy, an object that might have been touched by a Pisces or a Scorpio doesn't necessarily affect your Virgo energy, thus impacting the exam that we're currently going to conduct. Okay? I'm just going to put this glove onto your right hand, and then I'm going to put this glove onto your left hand. Okay, let's put this right here. Perfect, perfect. Thank you for your cooperation. Now, to give you some insight into who you are as a Virgo, your element is earth. Your symbol is the Virgin. Now, to break that down, earth signifies a very grounded, very security, material-driven person. You are someone who craves stability. However, as a Virgo, unlike a Capricorn or unlike a Taurus, where a Taurus is motivated by love and romance, and a Capricorn is motivated by ambition, power, and success, a Virgo is influenced or motivated by a never-ending thirst for knowledge and self-improvement. Thus, they are unfortunately plagued with self-criticism and insecurity. Now, to continue, you are symbolized by the Virgin. Thus, you are someone who is very, you are a novice to every experience that you encounter. You are someone who really takes on the world with wide, curious eyes. But, despite this fact, you are highly skeptical of those around you, much like stranger danger. Now, when you are exploring the knowledge in the world, you tend to give your feedback in a manner that is fit for a child. You tend to be unfiltered, you tend to be very direct, very honest, and other people might regard this as being rude, as being offensive or insulting, when in reality, you're just being as honest and transparent as possible. You are ultimately someone who is exquisite to be around, because you, my dear, are someone who, through your own self-improvement and through your own self-criticism, inspire others to also motivate them into a higher plane of existence, or to better themselves as well. So the saying that you are the 5 closest people to you, if you are one of those 5 closest people, then the person you're closest with is going to be highly privileged by your company. Now, your stones are the amethyst, the carnelian, and the pyrite, or the pyrite. Excuse me, give me one moment. I need to adjust my little mic here. Excellent, 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 excellent. There we go. Perfect, perfect. So, or the pyrite. Now, the significance of these stones are that they grant freedom from your everyday concerns. Unfortunately, as a Virgo, as previously stated, you're someone who is plagued with insecurities, self-criticisms, self-doubts, and this does translate into you criticizing those around you and judging others around you. However, never, ever, ever as harshly as you point that knife inward. Now, these stones, especially the amethyst, help grant the sense of freedom from your mind, a sense of relaxation, soothing. It helps you calm the mind. Furthermore, it alleviates worry, and it helps with stomach aches and bad dreams. You are someone who's going to be afflicted with nightmares and digestive issues because of your constantly operating mind, going from the worst case scenario and making sure that you avoid it, or making sure that you improve upon it. You might find yourself not really being understood or being seen by other people. You might feel like you do far too much, or you're called a tryhard, but in reality, this is just another way of saying that you have so much battery and potential in you that a lot of people don't access, or a lot of people are not capable of. Think about Beyonce, Michael Jackson. I mean, there are so many Virgos that are just in these very talented, powerful positions, lonely, powerful, talented positions, because they ultimately operate best on their own. And furthermore, these stones will help strengthen self-confidence and vitality, which are two components that you very much need in order to kind of make sure that you don't crack yourself, or that you continue to have the energy to push forward. Your colors are silver, indigo, and dark violet. You are someone who really lives within the darkest recesses of humanity. Your shadow is your identity, and your lighter aspects are what you keep behind sealed doors. You're not someone who wants to really put their best foot forward, aside from a more polite, mannerly sort of etiquette, a common etiquette way. You are someone who wants to make sure that everyone is behaving in the most honest, direct, and polite fashion, and the moment you detect BS, or the moment you detect a false air, or the moment that you detect a sense of subtle, if not overt, rudeness, you will pounce, attack, and leave. Now, your trees, flowers, and bushes and shrubs are the wintergreen, sage, which helps you really calm, privet, hazel, almond, apple, grapevine, blackberry, white poplar, and aspen. As for your superpower according to your zodiac sign, because each zodiac sign is endowed with their own special and unique skills that make them capable of handling anything. You have been endowed with the skill of regenerative healing. Now, because you are so self-critical, and because this might lead you to be very critical of others, this leading you to create a lot of enemies where you don't expect them, you will encounter a lot of pain in life. You will encounter a lot of internal turmoil, and you will encounter a lot of external pushback or tension or friction. Thus, throughout your life, you will develop the power of regenerative healing, where after a certain point, you just cannot be hurt, because you just know how to heal yourself so quickly that it ultimately doesn't leave a wound. Now, to break this down, it states rapid regeneration, which lends towards an ability to recreate lost or damaged tissues, DNA, organs, limbs, blah, 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 blah. As a natural healer, you are someone who's very analytical and someone who's very perceptive and intuitive. And with these skills, you are able to heal others by pinpointing their problems, pinpointing their issues, and offering them adequate solutions, which oftentimes they reject because they aren't ready for it or they weren't looking for it. However, you do that for yourself, and you accept your solutions after enough time, experience, and practice, and ultimately it makes you incredibly powerful. However, as this continues to state, as a natural healer, Virgo, you have a tremendous power. This power can help you rapidly revive yourself and others, which is a necessity for battle. This healing potential is rooted in an intuitive understanding of the physical body. Essentially, you're the archetype of fast-acting nurse. If you're not careful, however, this desire for healing can create a preoccupation with the body or mind, which includes, being entrapped in an ever locked self-development loop where you are constantly critiquing yourself, and this could prove potentially insidious, or rather not insidious, but potentially detrimental if you end up internalizing the critiques of others. So, if you're not careful, this desire for healing can create a preoccupation with the body or mind. Your preoccupation tends to result in neglect for other areas in life, which leads to potential imbalances. If you're not careful, these imbalances can manifest as physical ailments, stomach issues. In other words, pay attention to your deep mind-body connection and take inventory of your life. How balanced are you? So, we're going to conduct a physical exam to see how balanced you are and to see how your physical body is doing. But before we do that, I'm going to take a little bit of lotion. And I'm going to examine your organs. Now, your organs, the organs that rule your body, your temperament the most, are the abdomen, the digestive system, the intestines, and the spleen. Now, the spleen was used as an oracle in ancient times, which is quite prophetic considering how you are someone who is very much how should I say it? You're someone who really reads minds and sees into the future, or can predict the future. Let's see. There we go. Interesting. Nonetheless, let us examine your abdomen, digestive system, intestines, and spleen. So I'm going to be focusing on your lower torso, if that's okay with you. Okay. Let's examine this area then. I'm going to need you to take a deep breath for me. Okay. And breathe out. Okay, I'm going to go a little higher. Take a deep breath in and out. One more. Take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. Okay. I detect that you have a very unsettled stomach. I detect that you have a lot of turbulence going on, and that it's reflected in your stomach's gastric juices constantly, fusing around and whatnot. So, what I can recommend for you is a lot of ginger tea, a lot of green veggies, fresh smoothies, soups, and berries. Furthermore, your stomach is erogenous. So, now let us continue with the psychological test and then the oracle reading. Okay? Excellent. So I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. And I want you to picture right here, 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 right here. Right there, not right there. In your mind's eye, a picture of the earth, any type of earth, any type of earth. This could be a plant, a forest, mud. This could be dirt. This could be the globe. This could be a mountain range. Anything that has to do with the earth. Pick an image, the first image that comes to mind when you think of anything that has to do with earth. Dirt, mud, plants, grass, trees. Anything that comes to you authentically. Now, as this image develops in your mind, I want you to think about the color palette. I want you to think about the sounds that you hear. All of the sounds that you hear in this image of yours. I want you to picture the smell. What do you smell? I want you to picture the crinkling of it, the movement of it. What is it doing, if anything? Is it growing slowly? Is it blowing in the wind? What is it doing? And as you keep this photo in your mind, I want you to, and I know this might be a little more tricky for an earth sign. I know this might be a little more challenging considering how you tend to remain a little more practical when it comes to your emotions. You don't try to generate emotions too much because they can sometimes come up and not be the most rational, and they can be overwhelming. So what I want you to do is to really ground yourself instead in this image. I want you to feel in unison with this image. I want you to feel in connection with this image. I want you to feel sort of solid in this image. And as you think of this image, I'm going to break down the image for you. If you pictured an earthquake, mudslide, or any sort of destructive element when it comes to Earth, you are currently facing a great tribulation in your personal life, a chaoticness, if you will, a chaos, a sense of turbulence. You are someone who feels like you're losing grip and that there are going to be catastrophic results from it. You probably are suffering from nightmares. You're probably suffering from bad dreams. So through our oracle reading, I'll give you a little bit of insight as to what potential methods you can use in order to placate, calm, and reason for yourself how to correct this chaos, or at least how to manage the chaos. Have you pictured a forest? You're someone who feels very prosperous. You're someone who feels very abundant. You currently are thinking in the most successful terms. You are someone who really is trying to find their full cup in life, or drink the full cup of life. If you pictured a scene with grass, you tend to be someone who's more peaceful and docile. Your aim is to reach a sense of calm, something along the lines of cottagecore. If you pictured a single potted plant or a single blade of grass growing from, something very singular, something very rooted, you are someone who takes life simply. You are someone who just wants to focus on one project or another, and you're very much satisfied following a narrow and beaten path. Likewise, if the plant you imagined was potted, that means you have a very good sense of control, and you only feel comfortable when you are able to be in control of your current situation. If you pictured the entire planet, you tend to be someone who is very much general when it comes to your thoughts. You're someone who really is more so encompassed with viewing life from a distance, from an audience point of view, from being much more of a spectator as the world develops before you, not really feeling in connection with the surroundings around you. You don't really feel like you see the smaller pictures in life. However, you feel very much distanced from it. And if you pictured a mountain, you feel like life is overwhelming you at the current moment. You feel definitely like you are at the foot of something that you feel challenged by and potentially threatened by. Now let's begin your oracle reading. We're going to do a 3-card spread. Now to begin this 3-card spread, I want you to continue picturing that image. Keep your eyes closed, and as you continue to picture this image, I want you to feel in connection with it. I want you to feel grounded with it. I'm going to shuffle your cards very quickly so that we have a unique and special read, and you're going to pick 3 cards from the deck to choose for your read. The first card will be your foundations card, the second card will be your transition card, and the third card will be your conclusions card. And from that, we will gain some insight as to your path. So I'm going to spread it out in front of you, and you just feel whichever card makes you feel most grounded to it, whichever card makes you feel like it's an extension, like a leaf on a branch, whichever one is reaching out to you. You pick You take your time, take as much time as you want, be as quick as you want, either way, as long as it is authentic choices. Excellent, very good. Number 1. Okay. Excellent. Number 2 and number 3. Perfect, 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 perfect. Okay, let me just put these cards away now. And I'm going to begin your reading. So, let me line them up. There we go, very good. Now, as for your first card, we have Wasily Kandinsky. Oh, furthermore, your planet is ruled by, or rather your star sign is ruled by Mercury. So you are very communicative. You are very thoughtful. You tend to be very analytical, as previously stated. So the best ways for you to release this talent, this skill that you have, is through journaling, writing, talking, lecturing, just anything that has to do with sharing and spreading information, anything that has to do with releasing the pressure in your mind. Please don't mind Tiffany. Actually, it's Brittany. She's very annoying and she's a bit of an attention whore. So, the first card that we have is a life quote. So this life quote states, transcend systems to find spirit. Oftentimes you might feel a little rigid, you might feel a little stiff, you might feel a little boxed in when it comes to your ideas, when it comes to your projects, when it comes to your endeavors. And you often forget your core. You often forget what is going on inside of you to want to pursue that in the first place. You are not someone who enjoys or thrives off of this sense of practicality. You are someone who really does enjoy breaking grounds. You're someone who really likes going above and beyond, and this is what ultimately is your Achilles heel, where when you go above and beyond, you oftentimes criticize yourself and the situation you've been in. So, before you start trying to, box yourself into an idea or box yourself into an identity or a project, really transcend what systems you're operating within, and find your inner core to navigate you through this journey or project of yours. Really reach in for your inner child, essentially. Now, as for your work ethic, hear music through sight. So, instead of cracking down on music in an analytical fashion, thinking upon thinking upon thinking upon thinking upon thinking of the arts that you enjoy, of the music you're listening to, of the poetry, the script, the writing that you engage with, instead just allow it to exist. Don't start trying to break it down and analyze it. Just allow it to express itself and feel it in all of the multitudes that it is trying to convey to you. So listen to a painting, feel a movie, watch a musical piece. As for life inspiration, begin with a dot. Your perfectionism and your expectations tend to overwhelm you, and it tends to switch off any motivation you have to embark on a project. And analysis paralysis. Basically, before you even get started, you're already exhausted. And oftentimes you don't even start what you want to accomplish or finish what it is you've already committed to. So begin with a dot. Keep things simple. Keep things as baby steps as possible. Don't try to plan upon planning upon planning upon planning. That is a form of anxiety. And ultimately that anxiety, once you let it out, it will be exhausting and you won't do anything. Just begin with the first step. Locate, identify, and embark on just the first step. And then the next step. And then the next step. Once you're ready. Now, as for your transitions phase, you received Paul Gauguin. For your life quote, you have go far to go far. You are someone who is capable of so much potential. People who are under the Virgo sign tend to be very ambitious and very ambitious, very full of ideas, very full of creativity, very full of constant work that you enjoy, that you self-impose. You are someone who juggles a lot on your plate. So, go far to go far. continue enjoying all of the work that you do. And if you happen to drop a couple of projects, or if you happen to how should I say it, botch a couple of projects, just forgive yourself, move on, and keep going. Until you need rest, of course, then you just rest up as much as you want, give yourself that break, because ultimately you're human. Now, for your work ethic, exaggerate the subtle, share the unseen. Because you are so intuitive and analytical, you really thrive, and because you're so communicative, you really thrive off of showing people what they are missing or what they cannot see in current society. So share that. When you share that, you will definitely be a beacon of light in darkness. You will be someone who really shows elements that has never been spoken about, or rarely spoken about, in a lens that perhaps was never conveyed before. And as for the subtle, you are someone who really doesn't care for the perceptions of others. You are someone who really just runs by their own beat of their own drum. So exaggerate the subtle that other people want to ignore or remain underneath the folds, because once you do that, you really find a sense of satisfaction at turning the tables. And as for your life inspiration, only an outsider sees inward. So much like a Gemini, because they're also ruled by Mercury, you are someone where, because you are so analytical, because you're so perfectionist, because you have so many ideas, because you're constantly working and constantly going on and 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 on, you tend to lose sight of who you really are. And because you are intuitive and you are someone who can really read people effectively, you tend to incorporate or internalize a lot of their issues and try to solve their problems for them, thus taking on their problems as if they were your own, kind of confusing you as to who you are, what your problems are, and what your identity and your boundaries are. So, before you continue on, recognize that only an outsider can look at you the way that you are currently look at yourself, from a negative point of view, from a critical point of view. For you to be critical, you have to be looking at yourself as an outsider. You have to be looking at yourself the way other people look at you, and then criticizing yourself. So once you reach that core, once you reach who you are, ground yourself like the earth element that you are. Really allow yourself to feel your feet, your ankles, your knees, your thighs, your hips, your stomach, especially your stomach, your ribs, your lungs, your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists, your fingers, your fingertips, all the way up to your neck, to your jaw, to your ears, to your nose, to your eyes, to your forehead, to the tippity top of your head. Once you allow yourself to ground yourself, you become in tune with who you are. And your final card is William Morris. Excellent. What a beautiful ending. So, your life quote is, bad truth makes good fantasy. So you are someone who's very direct, very honest, and you really don't appreciate BS. So bad truth makes good fantasy. You ultimately don't care for the fantasies of others. So unless you want to indulge in that, you can recognize it for what it is, a fantasy. And thus, because you recognize it as a fantasy, you can very much effectively play into what you know and what you can read other people want to hear and see. Otherwise, you know what it is already, a bad truth. So work ethic, to be prolific, is to be versatile. So allow yourself to embark upon all the projects, all of the ideas that you have, because you are naturally capable of being eclectic and versatile and prolific. You are someone who consistently just keeps working and working and working, and whatever drives your heart, whatever drives your mind and your passions, you will stick through with it as far as it takes you. And once you feel like you have no use for it, there is no shame and no problem in quitting. There is no shame and no problem in moving on to another project. Ultimately, they are learning experiences for you to finally conclude with a magnum opus. And as for your last life inspiration, art is the methadone of the masses. So when you need to have some sort of drug to calm you down and allow you to have release and allow you to sort of escape reality, turn to art. Your don is reading, writing, creating linguistic poetry or linguistic works of art. Now, this reading has been concluded. Do you have any questions? No? How did you like this reading or exam? You liked it? Well, I'm glad to hear that. In that case, let me remove your gloves really quickly. Okay, perfect. And I hope that you take care, my sweetie, and that you ground yourself as the earth element you are. Okay? Bye-bye now.